Welcome everybody. I'm Susan McConnell, your LinkedIn for the Reserve champion. Thanks for joining me. This is a special Wednesday edition of my Tuesday Dangerous Conversations. So I host a conversation every week, but we added a new one in for today. And I do it on different topics to light up my network with actionable ways to improve your business and now your personal life and your mental fitness, which we'll chat about a little later on. And today, my guest is Catherine Chadwick from Catherine Chadwick Consulting. Catherine is a transformational life coach and mental fitness trainer, which was going to be a great topic. And she empowers you to soar to your highest potential. As a mental fitness trainer, she has experience as an RN and a practitioner of applied positive psychology, and she's a certified life mastery consultant. That's a mouthful, Catherine. AKA transformational life coach and wellness educator. So welcome. I'm so glad you're here. This is going to be fun.
Well, thanks for having me, Susan. It is fun already. Thank you.
Yeah, always fun.
I know.
And if you're here, let us know. And if you have any questions as we go on, please ask them because we are here to answer questions on our special day.
Yeah.
So tell me, Catherine, what is the sunshine quotient?
Oh, that's one of my favorite things to talk about. And that really came to me as a download like several years ago. People were saying to me, "Oh my gosh, what are you doing? You're so bright all the time." And, I say, "Oh, well, I have a high sunshine quotient." And after I said that a few times, I thought, well, okay, I know what I'm feeling, but how do I articulate this?
Right.
It's actually a term that refers to lighting gradients in photography and radiology, but I apply it to people because if you think of all the people around you, everybody has their own kind of unique, level of brightness about them. And your brightness is your calling card.
You're right.
And so what I just really love about it is that it's a reflection of your vibration, but you can adjust it. So I started using it as a mindfulness and breathing technique, and I teach it to all my patients and my clients. And if you just visualize, that you're breathing in the light, we're all part of nature, we're all light beings to begin with, and you breathe in the light and you visualize that your heart is getting bigger and it's glowing, your whole body's glowing, you can feel the warmth of the sunlight on your skin, and breathe in through your nose and just exhale gently through your mouth as if you're gently blowing out a candle flame. And just do that several times. And what that does is it stimulates your vagus nerve. And that takes you to the calming side of your nervous system, your parasympathetic nervous system, which is often referred to as rest, digest, and create, right?
Right.
But what it does is it brings you in tune with your breath. And when you think about that, that you do not breathe yourself, you do not make your heart beat on your own.
Right.
Your power is in your breath. So becoming really in tune and getting connected with the breath is so important for moving on to develop anything else. So I just love the sunshine quotient.
Awesome. What sort of led you to want to, help others? Obviously it was a journey for you in the beginning, I think, and then you kind of brought your journey around to start to try and help others. What do you typically hear from people that want to, come work with you to, become part of the sunshine quotient?
Well, it's interesting because I seem to attract people that are feeling a little stuck, or are having a health related experience, that they would like to, have more mental work, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because everything starts in the mind. And over 90% of physical ailments and conditions are lifestyle induced. And so that's why the mind diet is, and that I think that's really what attracts people, because I like to make it fun. I don't think self-development has to be dry and droll and scary and all of that. I think self-development can be really fun. Be curious, be that curious observer and go, wow, that's interesting. Ha! But I don't have to keep thinking that thought. I can choose to think other things that really benefit me, right?
Yeah.
And so I think it's the fun factor. I think it's the lightness factor. that attract people to me. And what I really love about working with people, because I discovered it for myself, as you surmised,
Right.
working in healthcare all of this time, you see an awful lot of people that are unfortunately miserable. And I think life is supposed to be fun. I think life is supposed to be an adventure. And that's how I live my life. And I think that's why people are attracted to me. And the mind diet, people understand that. People are used to nutritional diets, so they understand about the diet. But how you talk to yourself and the thoughts you think are the basis, really, of everything, right?
Yeah, no, that is so true. So, yeah, you kind of started on it. So, what is that actual importance of a mind diet? And I like that you call it a mind diet because I think some people think like their life is fine, but then they turn around and they realize that like things are going wrong and they don't know how to change their mindset or start a mind diet.
Right. Well, it's like anything else, you just have to start, right?
Right. You have to
Right,
start something. You have to first know that you need it.
right. Yeah. Well, it is fascinating because the research shows that we think over 60 to 70,000 thoughts in one day. And over 90% of those are the same as the day before, and the day before that, and the day before that.
Huh.
And so many of us, just dragging the yesterdays along with us all the time. And that's why nothing changes. So having these realizations and learning tools and strategies to really work with how you use a mind diet makes a huge difference for people, because you can make those changes if you understand how it all works. And that's why I don't get into in-depth biology, chemistry, or whatnot, but I do use the research to explain to people the basics of how these things work, because I believe that if people understand how they work, why they work, that they're more apt to stick with it.
Well, yeah, it's kind of true. I think years ago, people understand, and my mother used to say this, people understand when they see you have a physical ailment, a cut or broken arm or whatever, but they don't understand when you have something going on internally. And I
Mhm.
think it's becoming more prevalent for it to be okay to work on these things. So many companies are experiencing burnout. And so it's definitely starting to be something that people are look because it helps your overall health.
Oh, no question, because the thing that is really, I think, imperative for people to really realize is that they, you know, the mind body spirit connection is a real thing. And how I explain it to people is think of it, everybody has seen a photograph of a diamond or a precious stone. And for that stone to be brilliant and to shine, all those facets have to be interconnected. The integrity of the stone has to be intact, right?
Mhm.
And so the body, mind, and spirit, those three facets, it's imperative that those are intact. And so I think that the greater, awareness that's coming up of people realizing that a spiritual practice is really the ticket to the game,
Yeah.
and have that in connection with the mind and the body. It's all interconnected, and it's difficult to be healthy in one arena, one area, and not be connected to the others.
No, it's so very, very true. And so what is your kind of your favorite part of being a mental fitness trainer and coach?
Well, I think it's giving people the tools that they can use to empower themselves. And what I love about it is the aha moments that people have, and the thing that's so fabulous about it is once they start rolling, then they want more. They want to develop themselves more, and I think it's really important to um, you know have a vision of where you want to go,
Right.
because all of those yesterdays, That's water under the bridge, right? Learn from it, move on, know where you want to go, and also have those short-term goals or those scaffolding images, lined up so you have a target to move toward
Mhm.
because you want to be able to use that 10% that's not the yesterdays, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's amazing, that statistic there, 10%. So that's why we all need to do what I call I always say that I need to do a memory dump, just like your computer, you can clean it out. It's kind of like what you have to do with your mind.
Oh, no question. You have to give yourself a new operating system from time to time, right? Because
Right.
and that 10% can increase, but that's
Oh,
typically, what you're kind of starting with.
gotcha.
But if you're letting those yesterdays go and reevaluating your beliefs, the way I describe it is, we're pretty much all programmed by the time we're 7 years old, and those belief systems are, how the family's raised, what the school system's up to, all of those things. And the way I describe it is that, we've been in ingrained, we've been exposed to all of these beliefs, and many of them have come down from generation to generation. And I like to say, and without evaluation. Well, and everybody says, well, that's just the way it is. Well, it doesn't have to be the way it is.
Right, I agree. And that's when you hear someone say, I'm just like my father. Well, you don't have to be.
Right. Right.
I get it. I mean, I do want to be like my father because he was awesome, but if someone didn't have that, you don't have to repeat.
Well, and all of us, I mean, we all have the 2 sides of the coin, right? And so but I like to think of the positive, negative, because everything is in polarity. Like, the thoughts are an electrical charge, and they send the signal out, and the feelings are more of a magnetic charge, and they bring the signal in. And desire has a positive charge, and expectation has a negative charge, and it's not good or bad, but it's like a battery. And so
Oh, yeah.
understanding the polarity of things, and a little bit about the electromagnetism and the polarity of some of the universal laws, and how these things work makes a huge difference in how people operate, right? And as you say, the operating system.
Yeah, it's true when you think about it in those terms. So, can you give us an example of maybe like some of the tools that you use in your coaching or
Well, and the sunshine quotient is the basic.
okay.
Get connected to the breath. And then in regard to the mind diet, a great example is to start notice what you're noticing, right? And notice what your thoughts are, and notice what feels good to you, what feels expansive, and notice what feels contractive. So many people, I believe, live out of obligation. I have to do this, I'm supposed to do this, and all of these things. However, if you don't honor yourself first, it's like that, the analogy of put your oxygen mask on first, if you're in the plane, right? And if you're
Right.
not a full and whole human being, it's hard to, really be a conscious contributor to other people and society and, the world, right?
Right.
And so I think the beginning thing is notice what you're noticing. Really evaluate what your thinking is, and take the time to write things down and evaluate some of your beliefs. So that's one of the first exercises that I start working with people in, because I think that once people understand a little bit more about focus,
Mm.
then that is a huge advantage for people. And the other thing that I like to do, and I started using it just recently because, pardon me, a few weekends ago, I was at my daughter's home, and 2 of my grandchildren live there. I have 3 grandkids; they're all fabulous.
Oh,
And so I had taken with me a make your own movie kit. And so out of this book, there are backdrops that you can set up, and you put the little figures together for different costumes to make different characters. And it gives you information of what stop motion apps you can put on your phone. So you set it all up, and you take a still with your phone camera and move the figure a little bit, and then take another still and move the figure, take another still, and so and then when you get done with setting it all up and telling your story, the app will put together all of the stills for a video. And so these kids are ages 5 and 8.
Wow.
We were having so much fun doing this, but it didn't take them long at all to realize that if they weren't clear on their story and they weren't setting it up in a way with the movements to actually tell the story, that the video wasn't very good, right?
Oh, yeah, that's interesting.
Right,
Step by step.
right. And so then we went to do a little work on a storyboard and pay a little more attention as to how this is being set up for each photograph to be taken. And as we're doing this, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so reflective of how we live our lives. Because if we're not paying attention to what we're doing every day and really doing something that fulfills us and fulfills the story that we want to tell, at the year-end review or the month-end review or whatever, that the video is not going to be very good.
Right.
So, yeah. And so I think, we all learn through stories and having visuals and understanding about visualization, because the mind doesn't differentiate between what's real and what you imagine. And so, that's really a skill that I work with people for them to develop, because that, along with the mind diet and the breath, very powerful tools to work with.
That's awesome. Yeah, you're right. And so I'm someone, and my friend Karen actually just jumped on and she made a comment. So it's kind of funny because she and I definitely have ADD. I don't know. She might not say she does, but I think she does. But it's hard when you have that type of mind and your focus is, you know what I mean? I can go from task to task to task, and I take Adderall and I still can go from task to task to task. And so I go for walks, and that's what, sort of gets me, thinking and out in nature, and just, no radio, no nothing, just walking and thinking about what I'm thinking. And
right. And so that's a definite beautiful skill, because I always encourage people to develop the mindfulness and the meditation practice, because the meditation is invaluable as far as opening yourself up. Your intuition improves, and it's really becoming more in tune with yourself, right?
yeah.
Right. And so that's important. The other thing that I think is something that's very useful. Quite often people talk about doing a gratitude list, and I think that is useful. However, I also think, along with that gratitude list, developing an intention list every morning
I love it.
is a wonderful thing to do, because it was, today I plan to be, I am going to be, I am being intentional. I am being generous. I'm being fun. I'm being resourceful. I'm being curious, or whatever it is that you want on your list. And
Yeah, that's
so
great.
it was so fun because when I was, the last time I was with the kids, we did that each morning before we went to the Franklin Institute, and we went to the parks, and, we had a lot of fun. And so, so the three of us put our list together as how we wanted our day to be. And so,
that's cool.
Yeah. And so, we're filled with gratitude. We want this day to be a happy day, a fun day. I think it was a curious day. And Etta said, and I want today to be as light as holding a feather. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how cute are you? Right?
That's cute.
Yeah. And so it's, inevitably we're going to get to a point in the day where they start getting a little bickery with each other. And I go, oh, I don't think that's on the list today. Oh, no, it's not on the list today. And it's like, boom, a complete turnaround very quickly.
But that's a key point you just said there is like when you start your day, and I've been pretty good about this, I'd say in the last year or so, is you start your day with your gratitude. And I love the idea of adding in your intention because
Yeah.
if your intention is for it to run smoothly, chances are it will. Or
Well,
your intention,
because what you focus on really is what you get, right?
right.
What you focus on is where your energy goes.
Right. And I have these two signs, and one's in my car and one's like up next to my desk, and it always says, "Today will be awesome."
Yeah.
So I make sure I like at least try to look at that every morning and say,
Mhm.
"Yep, today's going to be awesome. It's going to be a great day."
Yep. And it already is awesome, right?
Right. Already is. It's unbelievable what I've learned today already. So I understand that you also work in entertainment. So how does this fit into all your
Ah, well,
training that you do?
well, it's interesting because I kind of say I backed into it. Um, I won't go into the whole long story as to how I got started when I was in Florida and all of that jazz, but I did get back into it, and I was just thrilled with it because I was learning and studying things that I had not been exposed to in medicine and law and nursing and all of that. So I was thrilled with what I was learning, and so I just kept taking classes and getting more work and print work and got into the acting and did some work in film and television. I write some things. I've done some production work.
Wow.
And I think the thing that I bring to this arena, as far as the coaching in any arena, is that communication is so enhanced and more effective if you go into it listening,
Yes, you and I talked about this before we started.
right?
One
Because
of Yeah, it's crazy. One of my coaches or one of my colleagues, he has a whole class on what's called listening to understand, which is a hard thing for people to do.
absolutely. I mean, obviously, you want to be prepared, with, with whatever you're going to go in to do.
Right.
But we're all learning every day. And
Yes.
if I'm already anticipating what I'm going to be saying to you, and you haven't even finished your question, that's not communication. That's
No.
just, that leads into passive aggressive one-upsmanship and all of that nasty stuff that comes along the way sometimes. But I think listening and then responding is a wonderful way to communicate with people, and that's one of the greatest things I've learned
Yeah,
between that and the nursing and listening to numerous patients over the years. If you don't listen to them, how you're going to help them?
exactly. And you may take them in a direction that they don't even want to go in. And I was telling you before, well, I still do it to a degree sometimes, and I try to stop myself, but sometimes you'll be talking to someone and you're thinking ahead because that's what I do in my head, but it's you can't finish their sentence for them. They have to finish it.
Yeah. Well, and that leads to another good point also, is that no matter how much you want to help somebody, and I don't care how much information you give them, if they don't want to, they don't want to.
That's so funny. I talk to people who I try not to even give advice unless people ask for it now. It's like when someone, it's why if they didn't ask me for it, I'm not going to give it
Hmm.
because they're one, they probably didn't want it, and two, they don't need it until they need it. When they need it, they're going to ask.
Right, right. I have found that sometimes if you notice something, um, and there's an opportune spot in the conversation to ask them, you can say, would you be willing, um, you know, for a little insight that I had, or something like that.
Right.
But yeah, unless they really want it, nothing's going to happen.
No, no one's going to budge, even if your advice is the best advice ever. And it's just something they should do. It's just not going to happen unless they're willing to make it happen. So
Mhm.
tell me, what's your gift, the greatest value that you offer your clients?
I think I give them the gift of being bringing a sense of humor, bringing a sense of lightness, to give people tools that they actually use to empower themselves. And so I think the biggest gift is I'm the guide to their overcoming what they need to overcome to become who it is they want to be.
That's true. I mean, I think you definitely bring a whole, I think, calmness. So I think people feel
Mhm.
calm, which maybe to me or to you is light. So I think calm must mean light because that's what I feel.
I think if when people feel grounded and are connected, that calmness comes through. Um, I've also had you know quite a few experiences throughout my life, and I've been around the block a couple of times, so I'm not really rattled or intimidated by much.
Right. I think that comes with the years of experience that we've had.
Oh,
Um,
exactly.
I wish I knew some of the things now that, in my 20s that, it would have been helpful.
Oh, of course. Right, right, right. Because you wish you would have known you at that age. Right.
Yeah, I mean, I really wish we did a lot of this mindfulness and, what you call, mental training, mental fitness training. Is that what we call it? Fitness training?
Yeah.
Did I say that right?
Mental fitness training. Yeah.
Mental fitness training. Yes.
Well, and I got into thinking of it that way because I always, growing up, I always played a lot of sports,
I did too.
and so was into physical training, and
Hmm.
right, and I have a black belt in karate, and that was a very fun story. My son wanted to take karate at age 7, and so
Wow.
I took him to observe a couple of times, and he said, "Yeah, I want to do it," and I said, "Well, okay." I think that's great, but I want you to take a couple of days and think about it because I played a lot of sports, but I've never done martial arts. And it's a lot of repetition. And to give it a fair shot, I would ask that you would give it a year of participating and to give it a fair assessment as if you wanted to continue. And I think you'll learn a lot. And he said, "Well, why don't you take it with me?" And I said, "I think that's great, but I want you to think about that for a couple of days too, because even though there are a lot of families in this class, it'll change the dynamic of the class for you." So this kid comes back to me, oh my gosh, almost 48 hours to the minute. And he said, "I want to do it." And he says, "And I want you to come with me." I said, "I think that's great. This is going to be fabulous." He said, "You're in it for a year."
He's holding you to the standard that you set for him. That's
Well,
funny.
of course. And so he got to, I think, a junior brown belt, and then he went to the swim team. And I took my daughter, and she got to a purple belt, and then she went to horses in the swim team, and I kept going. And I landed my first degree black belt on my physical, you know, and energetic, participation. And I've been promoted twice because of my, continued support of Master Ochai's foundation and his educational things and whatnot. So,
That's amazing.
and what I really like about comparing it to that type of training is that every time you go to the next level, you're back at the beginning, fresh mind.
Yeah.
And it's like the listening, right? And so,
Yeah.
yeah, I
That's
like I
true.
like the idea of training because I think we're always in training.
Well, I like the idea of thinking of it as training because it's not like you said, something's going to happen overnight. You have to start with an intention and work on it. It doesn't just happen. With everything else that we do, things take time, and you've got to put the time in if you want to get some good results.
Oh, I know it's just hysterical to me sometimes that just because somebody sends you a text, they think they're going to get an immediate response, right? It's just like, what?
That's not in this day and age. Everybody's so busy. Um, well, this has been awesome, Catherine, and so glad everybody that was on could join us. So we can't really see, but we'll be able to see after. But this will also be on replay for anybody who would like to rewatch. And Catherine, how do people reach out to you? I put your email in the message chat.
Thank you. That's great. Yep. CC at sunshinequotient.org.
Yes.
Yeah, my website is theartofselfcraftsmanship.org. And it's very easy to, sign up for a mental fitness weigh-in, which is a complimentary consult. And tomorrow I'm actually doing a webinar of harvesting the good which talks about the mindfulness. It talks about focus, and it also talks about, taking charge of your own story. So that's just a little short 25-minute webinar with a little Q&A afterwards if you're interested, and you can sign up under webinars on my website, or there are links in the LinkedIn post and Facebook, Instagram.
Great. Yeah. You can also reach out to Catherine and direct message on LinkedIn. And I did put your website on there too. It looks like Facebook's not getting it, but YouTube is, and so is LinkedIn. So
Well, thanks.
Technology is a beautiful thing.
Oh, I know, right? Yeah.
That's crazy. Well, thank you everybody for joining today, and make sure you join me every Tuesday and sometimes especially on Wednesday for our special conversations. And next Wednesday, my guest is Shauna Welkerline. Hopefully I said that right. I'll have to get that from her. She's the tax goddess, and she's helped save businesses and individuals to the tune of over $523 million. It's incredible. So thank you again, Catherine. This has been great. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Susan. Thank you.
Have a great day, everybody.
Take care.
Bye.